was an accident right in front of me where the car had to swerve off to the side, and it had hydroplane and actually kept twirling around in circles.
Well, you heard it right there. The wind and rain were causing trouble for people all over today. I mean, Adam there is in San Joaquin County where ponds are forming and wind is causing a lot of damage, as you can expect. And the National Weather Service is calling today's storm a direct threat to life and property. And once again, we are in a state of emergency right here in Sacramento County. This is the scene from a water rescue just this afternoon in North Sacramento. Sacramento firefighters had to rescue 2 people and a dog from a makeshift shelter near Natoma Street. Thankfully, nobody was injured there. And then take a look at this. A home in Placer County was even hit by a mudslide. Look at this video. This is on Ben Taylor Road in Colfax. You can see all the debris covering the windows and the roof of the house. Look at this. The people who live there, thankfully, they are okay, but it just goes to show you how serious these conditions are right now. So I want to waste no time getting over to Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods because we've been seeing this wind all day. When are things going to calm down?
Wow, and the mudslide that you just showed there, you can see the rain coming down still at this hour, and in pockets some heavier rain as well. Up in the 80-50 corridor, it is rain all the way up above Pollock Pines and Blue Canyon, where we have feet of snow that has fallen over the past week or so. And for the higher elevations, it's been a really heavy, wet snow. It has been falling in pockets as snow, but again, rain on top of snow, not a good combination. Rain finally starting to move out of some parts of the mother lode, but not before it dropped a whole lot of rain. We have a flood advisory in effect until 7:45 with roadway flooding still possible. Have an evacuation plan, be ready to go because the entire region is under this flood watch until tomorrow morning with excessive rain runoff continuing. The other part of this story, the winds still gusting at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that high wind warning, it sticks around until 11 o'clock tonight. That is true for the Valley and the Bay Area. Some parts of the Bay Area had 70 mile per hour plus wind gusts earlier today. We're starting to see those lighten up. But again, we still have a couple more hours of this storm, Alex.
All right, Monica, thank you. And those high-speed wind gusts, I mean, they were causing all kinds of damage throughout the area. Thousands of people are without power, and multiple roads are still blocked. So Becca Habegger joins us live in Sacramento's Southland Park neighborhood, where a tree fell into a busy road. Oh, my gosh, Becca, I see it behind you right now.
Yeah, Alex, it's incredible. Whoa. No one was hurt. No homes or vehicles were damaged when this decades-old eucalyptus tree fell into Southland Park Drive here near the intersection with 43rd Avenue. You know, the homeowner tells me she's sad to lose this shade tree, but she's grateful to neighbors who alerted her of this while she was at work and to the city, which quickly responded to clear the road. A crew worked to cut up and clear this eucalyptus tree from in front of Ananda Rochita's Southland Park home.
It is really sad to see it go because it's been there for so long. It was a good shade tree and it helps me on my energy bills, my electric bills, which I loved.
She says she was about to schedule a trimming appointment for this tree, but the wind had other plans.
I feel like I'm just really grateful that it didn't hit the house or my neighbor's home too. So I'm just kind of thinking positively.
Over in Sacramento County's Lemon Hill neighborhood, people living near MLK Jr. Boulevard and 44th Avenue jumped into action when this tree fell near power lines.
I was sitting across the street on the stairs and the tree fell. We came out here and started moving it, and then somebody came out here with the chainsaw and started cutting it, and we just started moving it all off the street.
Neighbor Shanae Jones says she thinks the county should have responded sooner. A CHP officer who arrived on scene told neighbors the county was on its way and busy responding to multiple fallen trees and roadways, but neighbors finished clearing the street before the crew arrived.
That's awesome. A bunch of people, jumping in to help. It's awesome. A lot of people around here have each other's backs, and it's nice when people have the community's backs as well.
Check out the base of this tree back here in Southland Park. This is that eucalyptus tree that fell. And the homeowner tells me it's no coincidence this is a eucalyptus tree that fell. These trees tend to have more shallow root systems, as you can see here. So when the ground is saturated and then there's high wind, they are definitely at higher risk of toppling over like this. So again, despite all of this destruction, it's just great news that no one was hurt and no property was damaged beyond, a fence and some plants here. But it could have been very different if the wind had been blowing in the other direction, and the homeowners are grateful for that. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. And I just want to note that if your home was damaged in the New Year's Eve storm, which was between December 27th and January 31st, the deadline to apply for disaster loan assistance in Sacramento County is this Thursday, March 16th. That's just in 2 days. So you can find all the info that you need on abc10.com/to-the-point. Just go to our links mentioned page and it'll all be right there. And again, the rising water in Roseville Dry Creek is pushing banks in many locations. Our Devin Truby has more from one of the pumping locations out there and what's being done to address possible flooding.
Roseville saw winds of up to 40 miles per hour. A neighbor told us he's using his chainsaw to cut the tree now rather than wait for the city because he and many other parents will need to pick up their kids from school. Residents on Cook Riola Road are also taking matters into their own hands.
Change where it comes onto my property or where it goes off, but I can improve my property. Lined it all off and measured it all and did elevation checks and everything. Just kind of made this meandering stream through here.
It took Derek Correa about a week to make his own creek 18 years ago. Since then, the closest his property has come to flooding was just some water up by his driveway. But he complained multiple times to the county for the safety of others. Standing water on the roadways was causing crashes.
I complained several times because people, my fence got taken out at least 3 times by people hitting because they come over that rise there and they don't see the water and then they hit the water and they've come through my fence several times.
The county created this new culvert, but take a look, the water is ready to come through the drain. Do you have flood insurance?
No, it's too expensive.
The city of Roseville sees the potential flood as an opportunity, though. It started its groundwater banking operation last Saturday, pulling in water, treating it, and pushing it back in the groundwater basin.
We're taking available water that would be essentially recharge. We're actually putting that water away by the savings account for tougher times. So in this case, it's going to be drier drought areas.
Through Saturday, Roseville will pull in 44 million gallons. That's enough to provide drinking water to 366 homes for the entire year. During the January storms, they pulled in enough for 1,200 homes.
All right, we'll keep tracking the storm with Monica after the break, but we also have our headlines coming up because there's a controversial speaker at UC Davis tonight, what protesters are saying, and your talking points coming up next. Here are some other stories that people are talking about today. Charlie Kirk, who is the founder of a conservative group called Turning Point USA, is speaking at UC Davis, and he has been met with some opposition. So Turning Point USA describes itself as a nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative politics on school campuses. Counter-protesters call Kirk a, quote, violent fascist and do not want him speaking on campus. And UC Davis Chancellor Gary May says the school is following policy to let Kirk speak after being invited by a student-led organization, but he also had this to say.
Thank you for sharing your distress at a student group hosting a speaker who is a well-documented proponent of misinformation and hate, and who has advocated for violence against transgender individuals. As a campus that is committed to our principles of community, UC Davis stands with our transgender and non-binary Aggies in opposition to this hateful and divisive messaging. UC Davis did not invite this individual and is not sponsoring this event.
Something else people are talking about today, a nearly 4 million square foot development in El Dorado Hills is up for discussion tomorrow. It would be built in this undeveloped area across from a neighborhood on Latrobe Road and Royal Oaks Drive. If you want to attend tomorrow's meeting to get info and express your opinion, we've got all the details you need to know at abc10.com/to-the-point. After the break, we are going to share some updates on an investigation that we have been following very closely about hundreds of thousands of people with disabilities who are under conservatorship in California. Recommendations are being made, but are they going far enough? Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods with another look at our weather. How are things looking tonight, Monica?
For some of us, Alex, things are starting to quiet down. However, for others, we're still tracking thunderstorms, and we still have those gusty winds hanging on. Our winter storm warning continues through tomorrow morning. Falling snow levels, though, we're still impacted by that snow loading. That's that rain on top of snow, which could cause additional slides and avalanches. And so that avalanche warning is in effect until Wednesday morning as well. Snow line tonight is going to fall down to about 6,000 feet and then eventually down to about 5,000 to 4,500 feet. But at that point, there's really not much snow. left from this system. It's a fairly quick mover, so today was pretty much it. We'll start to see quieter weather by tomorrow. Temperatures at this hour holding on to the 50s and 60s for the valley, 50s for the foothills, and still right about 40 at lake level for the high country. And that's why we're talking about rain still on top of that snow. We've got a flood warning in effect for the Merced River. That's until further notice. Flood stage is expected for tonight, and then it's going to be cresting tomorrow with water up to buildings in the nearby park. Multiple monitoring sites still expected to reach above flood stage, but we're down to 10 as opposed to the teens that we were tracking yesterday. So things are starting to move through our waterways pretty nicely here. Peak wind gusts for today at about 45 to 50 plus miles per hour. McClellan, Mather, we hit peak wind gusts at 60 miles per hour. San Francisco International Airport 74, and they were holding traffic out there for all the airlines until they started to see calmer winds. As far as our winds right now, down to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. Still pretty gusty out there, and we hang on to that high wind warning through 11 o'clock tonight for the valley and the Bay Area. As far as the rain showers, they are going to dwindle heading into tonight for the valley, hanging on to parts of the foothills and Sierra for tomorrow. Real spotty showers. We're not expecting much and anything organized until we get to our Friday forecast. But even at that point, still some uncertainty with how much rain and snow we'll be bringing in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can see with our 10-day forecast here, we've got St. Patrick's Day there on Friday with a slight chance for showers, and still a chance for showers over the weekend. A forecast that will continue to watch, even building into next week. Spring arrives on Monday, and we still have showers in the forecast. So spring showers, a little bit cooler next week, Alex, as we track that 10-day forecast.
Thanks, Monica. Over 400,000 people with disabilities in California are at risk of abuse right now due to the Department of Developmental Disabilities' failure to provide adequate care. A new review by a national panel of experts is asking this state agency to make some big changes.
There's no question that this panel was put together and that this report was put out there because of the ABC 10 series. That is literally the only reason they did this.
And our investigation uncovered alarming practices by DDS in handling conservatorships, which is a legal tool to protect someone unable to care for themselves. And tonight, investigative reporter Andy Judson is digging into the recommendations and whether they go far enough.
Just absolutely inhumane. These parents have adult children who've been conserved by the Department of Developmental Services.
I walked by his bedroom with his Elmos, knowing that that's where he should be.
We spoke with a number of families for our investigation, The Price of Care Taken by the State. Yet the national panel of 10 experts that was created in response to our investigation did not.
These are parents who are begging for access to their child. And the fact that this national committee did not even take the time to listen to their point of view makes this whole report very problematic.
Disability Voices United President Judy Mark has serious concerns about the review.
This national panel held 5 meetings and 4 focus groups. I was part of one of their focus groups of advocates.
Mark wonders why the panel did not question if DDS, a massive state agency, should be conservator at all.
It doesn't happen in most states in the country, and we just shouldn't be doing it.
Our investigation uncovered how DDS obtains conservatorship and then gives the responsibility of caregiving to their own regional centers, agencies that provide first-hand services to clients with disabilities.
The agencies that are actually serving as the day-to-day conservators are the agencies that are the decision makers about what services a person receives. So there is actually no advocacy happening for this individual in their lives. They are locked away.
The report showed that 81% of those conserved by DDS are then moved into third-party facilities.
These settings are very institutional-like. We know that there are high levels of abuse.
These facilities are where Garth Schutte and Andrew Finley live, 2 men conserved by DDS that we highlighted in our investigation. When DDS moved them, their families had no idea where they were.
They would not even say, is he in Sacramento? We did not know.
Prisoners, they get visitors. My child's not allowed any of that.
A 2022 state audit also found DDS is not properly monitoring these facilities.
These individuals should be moved out of these institutional-like settings into more individualized housing arrangements with person-centered services.
Because regional centers do this for other clients, we know it can be done.
And this report should have made this recommendation.
But there was also a number of recommendations Mark was pleased by.
To increase education and training for regional center staff, self-advocates, and family members around alternatives to conservatorship.
She's pleased the panel recommended that those conserved should have a thorough review to hear what they want.
What are their desires? Who do they want to be with? Where do they want to live?
But these recommendations are massive undertakings for an already overwhelmed system.
How are regional centers supposed to be implementing this without funds, because all the budgets are tight right now?
Barbara Eimel was a regional center service coordinator, the DDS employees who actually work one-on-one with clients. She left to get her doctorate researching this system and uncovered an alarming finding.
Each regional center is doing something different.
An issue the national panel recommends should be changed by DDS writing guidelines to create consistency across regional centers.
Those types of things, I think it's really important because that's not happening right now.
She's concerned the panel's recommendations would add more to service coordinators' already overloaded plates.
I don't feel it's fair to just put it on service coordinators and have them absorb the extra work.
How this is all going to work is a question both she and Mark have.
And I think it's intentionally vague.
We still don't know on whether these recommendations are actually going to get implemented.
We asked DDS 5 questions, including if they plan to implement these recommendations, if so, when, and with what money. They did not answer most of our questions, but said in part they're reviewing the panel's recommendations and are making some changes now and plan to in the future, but gave us no specific times. And while experts are pleased to see the start of some desperately needed reform, those we highlighted in our investigation are still at their wits' end, unable to be with their family members.
The fact that he's not allowed to spend time with his family it's just a crime.
And as we mentioned, Andy just heard from DDS today with all those questions. Can you elaborate more on what they did have to say about why they didn't include families like Garth's and like Andrew's?
Yeah, Alex, we gave DDS more than 24 hours to respond to a series of questions. And late this afternoon, they sent us a statement that doesn't really answer a lot of our questions. Their statement did say, though, that the process used by the panel was not dictated by DDS, but didn't specifically say why families were left out.
And did they talk about how they plan to be more transparent? I mean, especially because they are a state agency and they're operating with our taxpayer dollars. Did they explain that?
Yeah, and it's not just, taxpayer dollars. It's billions and billions of dollars. In fact, this year DDS has a budget of $12 billion, and they are expected to increase their budget to $14 billion next year. That's my understanding. And all taxpayer funding, it's all funded by taxpayers. Now, advocates don't think the panel should be operating behind closed doors, and DDS has an obligation to be transparent. But DDS has refused over a year now to answer our repeated questions or do an on-camera interview with us. But of course, Alex will continue to hold them accountable and fight for those answers.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. And you can watch all 5 episodes of Price of Care right now. All you have to do is go to abc10.com/Price of Care on the YouTube channel. Andy, thank you so much for your investigation. We'll be right back after this break. Here's what we're working on for tomorrow. We're getting an inside look at Melanin Day School Academy in Sacramento's Florence Square. And if you aren't familiar with it, it's a program for kids to learn about African-American culture that's not always taught in schools, and it aims to bring together our Black communities. And teachers there say it's made a safer space for kids to learn.
Families have pulled their children out of public schools and have looked towards, private or homeschooling because they're being bullied. And a lot of times simply because of the color of their skin. I look like you, right? My hair looks like yours.
All right, we'll have more about this cultural enrichment program tomorrow at 6:30 right here on To The Point. I can't say it enough before we go. Please be safe out there. Give yourself time on the roads and make sure that you are checking on your neighbors, family, and friends during all this storms. We'll have more coming up tomorrow on To The Point. Have a great night. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.